Don't count yourself out because you've been cracked, chipped, or bruised by life. In this episode, we're reminding you that even the broken pieces still have purpose. Whether you made mistakes, felt discarded, or just trying to find your way again, this one is for you. We're talking healing, self-worth, and how God can still use every part of your story to create something beautiful. It's not over, it's just being repurposed. Broken crayons still color, and so do you. I guess as we continue to color, one of the things that I thought about was that broken colors still color. Oftentimes life is always serving us things that we may not digest well. But that doesn't mean that there's no formula for good digestion, right? We often find ourselves detoxing, drinking warm lemon water, all of these things that help us digest the natural substance of life. But what about the spiritual substance of life? The things that really weigh us and tear at our natural bodies way much more than the things that we actually consume and intake. So I just kind of want to encourage someone today that it doesn't matter what life is throwing at you, if you might feel broken, that you only are left in pieces, that even the pieces of you are just as valuable as the whole version of you. So just ensure that you get back up piece by piece and start coloring again. But this time when we color, let's color inside the lines. Let the lines represent boundaries, things that will keep us from flourishing forward, things that we're constantly looking at, things that's trying to pull us back. When in reality, all God wants us to do is get up and keep coloring, and He'll put the masterpiece back together again.
Wow, that was beautiful. When was a time in your life that you felt most broken?
I would say when my mom passed, it really, I would say, because I've been through a lot in life, don't get me wrong, but nothing that brought me to my knees, Lord. Like Lord, if you don't do it, it can't be done.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, it made me, one, acknowledge the value and how much space I allowed the love in me and my mother's relationship to consume my entire life. Because a lot of times you think, oh, well, it's, not say we minimize it, but we don't give it the true due diligence that it deserves. So I would say for me, it was definitely an eye opener because I realized it's like, Kamiko, it's just you.
Yeah.
Yes, I did have my children. My children are grown. They're having their own lives. But it's like, personally, I guess I never really pursued a personal relationship to that matter, to the extent, because I always knew I had my mom.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I got my mom. I'm going to be all right. And so I would say for me, it probably was the one time in my life I was the most broken.
Yeah.
And it took me to stop being busy, allow myself to feel what I was feeling, and be okay with it.
Wow.
And it was one of my mother's writings that I even read at her service. And it was something about like the 7 sayings of life. And number 6 was that it's okay not to know and not have all the answers.
Wow.
And I can honestly say there had never been a time in my life that I didn't know and that Kamiko didn't have the answers until that moment. So I felt like that was her speaking to me and letting me know it's okay to sit in this space and be safe in it.
And I think that's the hard part, is sitting in that space, because I know for me, when my mom passed away, she had a short illness, and so I don't feel like I had enough time to really prepare. And she died 2 months before I graduated from residency. And so she's somebody who has been my number one cheerleader, praying me through all the training, all the difficulties in my life, and she was not going to be able to see me graduate from general surgery residency. And for me, that was so difficult that I put it aside. I did not sit with the pain. I did not sit with the grief. I literally set it aside, compartmentalized it, and told myself I have to graduate residency. I have to finish residency. And shortly after that, I was moving to Nebraska where I was doing my fellowship. And I told myself I did not have time to sit in the grief. So it actually hit me about a year. It was probably about a year and some change later that one day it hit me like a ton of bricks, just all at once. And then now dealing with that grief that I had swept under the rug and not dealt with in the moment, it almost broke me. Because if we don't take time to deal with it in the then, in the now, it's going to catch up with us later.
And I think that there's no perfect time for healing.
No.
Healing isn't a one-time thing. It's a journey. And now the journey, I feel, comes in phases.
Yeah.
And so the sooner you are to deal with it, the better. Because like you said, when we push things down the road, it's always going to come at the most inopportune time.
Yes.
And then you're trying to set things in place for something you don't even know what you need.
Right.
Because that healing journey, it's a journey of its own.
Yeah.
It comes, it goes, it stays, it lingers. Like, you just literally have to allow yourself to ride the wave of healing into a place of wholeness. And I think, and that's one thing I can share with you is say, because my mom, I literally dropped my retirement papers December 8th, and she passed away on the 29th. So she never seen me cross the finish line.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people thought I would go back and pull my retirement paperwork back and get back being busy.
Yeah.
But everything that I have obtained, everything I accomplished was because of her.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to go back to me just was going to defeat the purpose, because that season and those chapters of my life was over. And the longer you try to fight for the old version of you never get the new version of freedom that God has in you.
Amen. It can be very difficult to balance the looking back and then also seeing the future and looking forward when you are deep in the grief. What encouragement would you have for somebody who is new to this grief thing, who, especially for losing a mom who is like, you know, we are so blessed to have had the kind of mothers that we had. And I know that not everybody gets to have that opportunity in life, or some people may have lost their mothers when they were much younger, or they never had a mother, or their mother was not the kind of mother that's there to nourish and help you grow and bloom. I understand all those things. And for that person who had that close relationship with their mom like you did, what kind of encouragement would you give them when they are deep in the grief right now?
I would say the thing that helped me is how I treated my mom.
Yeah.
And the things that I shared because of her. And I often tell people, it's like when you're in your deep grief is remember the good times.
Yeah.
Remember those integral moments that only you know are something you and her share. And those are the things I often tell people that got me over.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me will tell you, like, I love my mom. There's nothing, like I told her, if God allows it, you can have it. And I cherish her. Like, our relationship wasn't like that always either. But I often tell people, I began to go back.
Yeah.
So my mom had 4 kids. I was the only one that had to go to church all the time. I was at 5 a.m. prayer trying to figure out why.
Because your mom was a minister, right? She was a pastor.
No, she was a church mother.
Oh, church
but it was
mother.
like, you got some other kids. Wow. But again, even and now as a mom, we see in our children what they don't always see in themselves.
Yes.
So later on in my life, I began to appreciate that about my mom. Because in the moments when I was deployed and in Iraq, it was those moments of prayer, me making sure I locked in the church while I'm in a war zone. There was never a day that the whole time I was there, I was in church every day.
Wow.
Like whether it was choir rehearsal, Bible study, Friday night live service, Sunday morning worship center. But it's because of the things she instilled in me at a young age, allowed me to go through some
tilling the ground. All those years.
Exactly. Some very challenging moments in my life that had I not had that foundation, who's to say what that would have looked like. So those are the memories I sat with in those hard times.
Yeah.
And I can think about it and I can laugh. And, I tell people it's just the things that you that, you know, that you really hold dear to your heart. So in your hard days, give yourself grace. Allow yourself the time you need to heal and hunt the good stuff.
Yeah. I'm curious, as a mother of a daughter, what was your relationship like with your mom when you were growing up as a teenager, preteen, teenager, and then your early 20s? Because you had your kids like me when you were younger.
So I was a grandma baby. Now it's a grandma girl. So generationally, you can even see the change. Like, so I was a grandma baby.
Yeah.
So even as a teenager, my grandma was my safety net. So my mom worked a lot, but my grandmother would always cover me. I could do no wrong. So even growing up, having my kids young, my mom and my daughter has the exact same relationship. Wow. So for me, it made my heart glad because I knew she had an outlet. I knew she had a safe space. So it wasn't something to really be intimidated by, if you will, because my grandmother passed away on my birthday. And so after that, me and my mom relationship did a 180. And so now that my mother is gone, I see the same shift in me and my daughter. So it's almost like the generational cycles of bonding.
Yeah.
Our bonds grow and bloom differently as life continues to happen.
It's interesting for me because my mom and I, so it's my older sister and I, and I always felt like my mom favored my older sister because she's quiet and, you know, prim and proper, and I was always the one in trouble. And so I used to clash a lot with my mom, and so my dad used to be the one to be there to smooth things over. So I was like always been daddy's girl. And so for my mom and I's relationship, it was actually very tumultuous in those preteens, teenage years. But around 19, after I had my daughter, things shifted. And, you know, it was more like, I think I really truly appreciated her role as a mother when I had my own child. Forget all the sacrifices that I knew and saw before, but it's like when I became a mom, our relationship completely changed. And that's when she became my best friend. And I am so grateful for that change in relationship, because I do see people who had those difficult relationships growing up and never
being able to mend them.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's why I would also encourage women today, if you still have your mom, no matter what it was, no matter what it is, but healness and wholeness.
Yes.
You don't want to get left holding the bag of what ifs. Because if I can definitely assure you, what ifs will tear you apart far more faster than the grief that you think you're going to feel when life takes a turn. And it could be the other way around. You know, do you want your mom to be left holding the bag of what ifs? So I think mending and bonding and forgiving and blooming and growing and cheering each other to the finish line is such a valuable asset within that bond.
I love that. Oh, here's my broken one.
Wow. That's what I said. Broken color still color. But if you look at it, now instead of one, I got two. He give me double for my trouble.
I love it.